I would like to call the June 24th, 2026 meeting of the Camarillo City Council, Camarillo Sanitary District, Camarillo Library Board, and successor agency to order. If the city clerk would do roll, please.
Councilmember Santangelo.
Here.
Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo.
Here.
Councilmember Kildy.
Here.
Councilmember Tremblay.
Here.
Mayor Tennyson.
Here. And with that, Madam City Attorney, if you could read the closed session items.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We have 2 items on closed session. A conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1, which is the OPV Coalition versus Fox Canyon Groundwater Management Agency. And a second item under anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2. And if there's any reportable action, I'll make that report.
Thank you. We will now recess to closed session. We will start momentarily as soon as the remaining two council members come walking in. Yeah. I would like to reconvene the Camarillo City Council meeting, June 24th, 2026, and ask the city clerk to call roll.
Councilmember Santangelo.
Here.
Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo. Here. Councilmember Kildy. Here. Councilmember Tremblay.
Here.
Mayor Tennyson.
Here. And Mr. Kildee, if you would lead us in the pledge.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Kildee. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
All right, with that, we will move on to general public comments. Madam Clerk?
We do have general public comments. There's 4 comments. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. Once your time has expired, the microphone will be muted and we will move on to the next speaker. General public comment will be heard for an initial 20-minute period, and if needed, will continue after all agenda items. The first speaker is Spencer Ritchie.
Welcome, Spencer.
Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Hello, I am Spencer Ritchie. I live here in Camarillo, and so good evening. I have a few comments that I'm gonna get through in these next 2 minutes, 45 seconds. One, I think it's next month that we're gonna start being legally required to have both people being able to make public comments using Zoom again, and also there being automatic subtitles when people are speaking due to like state laws. I think Brown Act, but anyway, I'm glad that is going to be a thing. And then the second matter of business is once again, you are not doing anywhere near enough to stop the ICE terror on our city. So far, as of Monday, this Monday, 501 people have been kidnapped from Camarillo by ICE. For all of Ventura County, that number is 1,048 people who have been kidnapped by ICE. And in the whole 805 area code, which is Ventura County, Santa Barbara County, San Luis Obispo County, the number of people who have been kidnapped by ICE as of this Monday is a whopping 2,186 people. So, yeah, that's a lot of people who have been kidnapped by ICE. And again, the city council really hasn't done anything to, even tell VCSO, which the city contracts with, to at minimum stop protecting ICE vehicles and bothering people who are literally doing their constitutional duty of recording ICE activity. And again, I'm still don't agree with the flock all-per cameras being in place. The whopping 25 of them. In comparison, Oxnard, which is multiple times their size, has only 19. Again, ICE has the data taken by these flock all-per cameras. And I noticed that also on the agenda is basically deciding how much the city manager and the city council, et cetera, are paid going forward. the flock stuff, it's taking up a lot of money. You have to be more fiscally responsible than that. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Spencer.
Juliana Martinez.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Juliana Martinez.
Move the mic down a little bit. There
Thank
you
you.
go.
I'm a resident of Camarillo, and I have 3 young boys that I raise here at home. I wanted to bring some attention to one of the homes that I live near that we're calling the Party House. It's 85 Crestview Avenue. I live a block or so over from this gentleman's house, even though I attended last week's meeting and he was told to stop throwing parties. He continued to host back-to-back-to-back parties all the way even on Sunday until 10 p.m. at night. Just speaking for myself, I feel like everybody deserves peace in their home, especially on a Sunday evening. I have been in contact with the sheriff's department. They do go out there. There's not much that they can do except cite him, which really amounts to nothing, especially when he's making so much money off of these parties that he's throwing. And I'm just coming here to give you some ideas of what has happened outside of my house. So we have party guests and staff that will stay past the party, drinking, smoking, drugs, alcohol. I've seen someone get arrested on the side of my house. The windows from my children's bedroom can watch all of this, and it just keeps us up, and I'm looking for some kind of relief. I'm hoping to come here today to bring attention to the matter to see what the city of Camarillo can do to help us out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Siddharth Medrotra.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, Council. I come here, as you can see, with 2 matters in hand to lay before you. The first is easily dealt with. Over the past 30 years, Camarillo, and indeed all of California, has done away with smoking in public, even around civic buildings. And I have no doubt we can do away with air pollution of other kinds, such as internal combustion engines and others, by the same means, if we only begin soon. Thus far for the first matter. I repeat, by the same means. The second matter is, as Spencer has already said, the so-called Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency has been using this county as their own personal hunting ground for a year now. The number quoted already has been increased by 6 this very evening. It is now 2,192, perhaps more. People abducted for no fault of their own and banished from this country, leaving us poorer, financially and otherwise. All this for no good reason. ICE has become, in effect, an autoimmune disease in the body of this nation, this same body attacking itself in search of a non-existent enemy to punish other parts of that body for threats they do not pose. We are appealing to you, Council, for protection from this. We are appealing to you for our own safety and security, more compromised by this agency than by anything that could possibly defend us from, more ruined by the same. We are asking you to do your due diligence to put an end to this military occupation which has sent so many of us shivering to our beds. Thank you.
Thank you.
David Moorman.
Welcome.
Go ahead and lay down. I haven't spoken yet, so my time hasn't started yet, all right?
Pull the microphone closer, please. There you
Sure.
go.
First of all, I'm putting all of you on notice. Everybody on the city council, I'm putting you on notice right now that if for any way something happens to me because of those flock cameras that are in the city, I'm holding each one of you personally responsible
because I've actually seen and read articles online that this is a movement that's starting in the country, is that city councilors are now being held liable. So I just want to point out a few things. Americans really have had enough of this mass surveillance. I know it's not going to stop. It's going to continue. That's why all the data centers are being built as they are. But they're not just holding all of our goy slop and Facebook posts and videos. It's not that at all. I've seen reports where they're actually building robots, mass robots in some of those data centers. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but the flock camera is artificial intelligence, automated license plate reader, and there's over 90,000 flock cameras across 6,000 communities or in the United States, and they read 20 billion license plates a month. The ultimate goal is to get us out of our cars, and I understand that. That's why you've seen in the news pick-apart places across the country have just mysteriously burned up. So now people that want to be able to fix their old 96 pickup truck that runs just great, they're going to have issues. It's already coming down to the point I've seen where the state of California and other states are going to make owning cars like this illegal. They're going to even do that for cars like mine, which is a very low mileage, a 2012 Toyota Camry. But you see what is happening in this country. You see manufacturers, Ford, Toyota, Dodge, General Motors, they are making cars to where you cannot even work on a car like that unless you have proprietary software to work on that vehicle. And what they're trying to do is get us all herded into cities. And I dare say,
Thank you, sir. Your time's up.
okay, well,
Thank you.
come on, Heidi.
Madam Clerk, any more?
No other comments.
Thank you. We will move on to council staff and intergovernmental reports. I believe we have a report from Mandy and the Camarillo Library.
Good evening, Mayor David Tennyson and library trustees. In partnership with the California State Library and California Library Association, Camarillo Public Library received up to $3,500 for reimbursement to provide USA 250 semi-quincentennial community programming this summer. The USA 250 program shed light on histories, people, stories, and political movements related to the Declaration of Independence. On Sunday, July 5th, from 11 to 12 p.m., the library will host a colonial music of the Signals Corps. This special musical performance will be provided by the Los Angeles Fifes and Drums, who will perform signals used during the Revolutionary War while dressed in authentic Virginia militia uniforms. In addition, on Wednesday, July 22nd, from 11 to 12 p.m., the library will offer a Meet the Presidents program. Actors will represent Presidents George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Ulysses S. Grant, and Abraham Lincoln, who will discuss their impact on American history in their own words. The library's USA 250 programs are well suited for adults, intergenerational groups, children, teens, and families to attend. This concludes my report, and I'm happy to address any questions.
Any questions for Mandy? Mr. Kildee?
Yeah, hi, Mandy. What's that date again for the presidents again?
The President program is on Wednesday, July 22nd,
And what time was that again?
11 to 12 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, Mandy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now it's time for my fellow council members to go through their calendar. Who would like to go first? Not seeing anyone raise their hand. Mr. Kildee?
Yeah, I'll start it off. Not a whole lot. On Monday, June 15th, I went to a Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness Committee meeting. And also, I just want to let the public know that Camarillo Ranch Foundation community events, or maybe some of my colleagues talk about this, but tomorrow night they have a Throwback Thursday from 5 to 8 o'clock at the ranch. And if anybody has not had an opportunity to go there, they're a lot of fun. So if you're available, try to make it. And that's all I have. Your
Thank
Honor.
you. Mr. Tremblay?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. For meetings attended on June 15, the OPV Major Account Holders Meeting, June 16, our special meeting of the City Council. On June 18, Fox Canyon Groundwater Management Authority, or Agency, Fiscal Committee. On June 19th, I attended a dedication at Cayugas Municipal Water District dedicated to Steve Blois, who many in the audience will recall was a longtime Camarillo resident prior to his death, a longtime member of the Cayugas Municipal Water District Board and the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California Board. And Steve, in my view, single-handedly did more to raise consciousness of water issues in our geographic area of Cayugas than just about anybody. Who was an outstanding director. This project is named the Steve Blois Emergency Generators Project. Many of you may not know that during the recent fires, when there was a 5-day public safety power shutoff, Cayugas utilized those generators to make sure we could all have water and turn on our taps, and that was directly attributable to Steve Blois's foresight. We lost him, recently passed away, I guess about a year and a half ago. So it's really fitting that Cayugas dedicated these facilities to him. He did a wonderful job. On yesterday, the Cass Education Foundation meeting, and then today I had a Fox Canyon GMA board meeting, and just ditto to what Mr. Kildee said relative to the Camarillo Ranch Foundation events. Thanks to all our volunteers at the Camarillo Ranch Foundation, and it's the Throwback Thursday tomorrow night. So, and that starts their events for the summer. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Susan?
Thank you. On June 16th, I attended the special closed session meeting for the OPV litigation. June 18th, Economic Development and Land Use Committee. June 18th, also the CPA Executive Committee. And June 22nd, the Investment Committee. I attended remotely. And that's all I have.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you. June 15th, I attended the Public Safety and Preparedness Committee with Councilmember Kildee. June 16th, I attended a closed session meeting. And June 18th, I attended the Economic Development and Land Use Committee with Councilmember Santangelo. And just a reminder that this Saturday, with all these fun summer things happening, this Saturday, June 27th, at 7 p.m. is a summer concert series that begins here at Constitution Park. So hopefully our community members can show up. Thank you.
Mine's going to be short. June 16th, along with the rest of council, I attended a closed session on OPV, and on June 18th, I had a VCOG admin committee meeting, and that's all I'm going to report. Madam Clerk, are there any comments on the consent agenda?
No comments.
Are there any questions from council? Is there a motion?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Santangelo?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo?
Yes.
Councilmember Kildee?
Yes.
Councilmember Tremblay? Yes. Mayor Tennyson?
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Mr. City Manager, was there anything you wanted to say in particular about item S on the consent calendar, which we just approved?
Thank you, Mayor. This request came in working with the Historical Society. They currently are remodeling and have been and raising significant amounts of funds for this item. in front of you this evening. It's a city property, but it's a wonderful cause, and they do great work there. So they are going to be making improvements to their facility and a potential future pump station location for the water district.
Thank you. And I notice members of the board of Pleasant Valley Historical Society. Hopefully you're happy with tonight's action, and thank you for being here. Next up, we will go to item T, the oversized vehicle parking restriction amendment, and I believe Mr. Klotzel, our Public Works Director, is going to take this one on.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and City Council members. This item is to consider an ordinance to amend Municipal Code Section 11.20.220, which pertains to oversized vehicle parking restrictions. Currently, the municipal code prohibits the parking of oversized vehicles between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., Mondays through Fridays, within the shaded areas shown on the map. That's a part of the current ordinance. The code does provide for permits to be issued for the temporary parking of oversized vehicles during restricted hours. Public health and safety concerns continue due to the ongoing adverse impacts from on-street parking of large trucks and recreational vehicles throughout many areas of the city. The on-street parking of oversized vehicles reduces visibility for vehicles entering and exiting driveways. It degrades the general appearance of the residential and business environment and can pose serious public health risks and mixed waste accumulations that are detrimental to the general welfare and safety of the public using the streets and sidewalks. There has been an increase in parking of oversized vehicles and recreational vehicles after 5 p.m. and on weekends across all areas of the city. This has negatively impacted driver visibility at driveways and contributed to the degradation of safety and environmental conditions in affected businesses and residential areas. An amendment to the current parking restrictions is recommended to address these ongoing concerns. A brief overview of the proposed ordinance includes the fact that it aligns local definitions with state law by adopting the California Health and Safety Code and Vehicle Code definition of recreational vehicle for consistency and legal clarity. It standardizes regulations by applying the same rules to recreational vehicles and oversized vehicles, ensuring uniform and equitable enforcement. The proposed revision addresses around-the-clock safety concerns citywide through extending the parking restrictions to all hours and on all city streets to reduce traffic hazards, visibility obstructions, and pedestrian safety risks at all times of day. It also streamlines the permit administration by expanding permit authority to include the city manager or designee, improving efficiency and responsiveness for residents seeking accommodations through the permit process. The proposed ordinance strengthens the program's integrity through clear, transparent criteria for permit decisions and a formal process with written notice to ensure fairness and due process. It also ensures consistency and enforcement by formalizing the parking citation process consistent with how other municipal parking violations are handled. And another element is updating the fines to reflect regional standards, adjusting the violation fine from $35 to $100, bringing Camarillo in line with neighboring Ventura County cities and reflecting current enforcement norms. The recommendation before City Council is to move forward with an ordinance to amend the municipal code as described and as listed here and in the agenda report. That concludes the presentation and I'm available for questions.
Any questions from council? Mr. Kildee.
Yeah, Dave, maybe this might be an Eric question, but when will this be enforced and how will we enforce this potential ordinance?
Councilmember Kildee, if the ordinance passes, it will be enforced in a number of ways. It will be proactively as we conduct outreach through our Project Hope program. If we get reports from citizen complaints about parking where line of sight issues are causing public safety concerns, there are other instances where some of the oversized vehicles like RVs have their slides out while they're parked on the side of the road that creates other dangerous safety concerns for us and line of sight issues, it would be, we would enforce it in those kind of situations as well. So it could be proactively, as Project Hope is out in the public dealing with, some of our homeless population. It could be reactively, or as our patrol people are driving around conducting patrol operations, if they see an oversized vehicle parking that's creating a safety hazard, they would address it as well.
And our Project Hope team is actively engaging those individuals currently, and will continue to do that in the future and explain to them what potential services are available, and keep on top of this issue. And I know we've been working on this for several years, but it's an ongoing situation, and we are picking up our game, if you will, on how to try to alleviate some of this. I didn't know if you wanted to expand on that or not, but
Well, I would
feel
say
free.
we definitely, there's not a homeless person when it comes to oversized vehicles that are RVs, there's not a homeless person in Camarillo that our Project Hope team doesn't know about and isn't engaging with. And if one does come to Camarillo, within a day or two, they're meeting them, they're talking to them, they're finding out what their story is, they're finding out what their needs are, and they're trying to connect them to services either here in Camarillo or somewhere in the county of Ventura where services are offered. So our Project Hope team is top-notch. They know who everybody is here that's homeless, and they are constantly working to get them the services they need.
I appreciate that, and it does not go unnoticed.
Any other questions? Madam Clerk, any public comments?
No comments.
Council discussion? Seeing none, do we have
I'll
a
move.
motion? We have a
I'll
motion.
move to
I can second.
staff recommendation.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Santangelo,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo,
Yes.
Councilmember Kildy,
Yes.
Councilmember Tremblay. Yes. Mayor Tennyson.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Thank you. We will move on to item U, consideration of an ordinance regarding compensation for members of the city council, and I believe our city attorney is going to run with this one.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So the item before you relates to a consideration for compensation changes for the city council. This is authorized pursuant to Government Code Section 36516. It does set permissible salary levels for council members of general law cities such as Camarillo. Increases under this ordinance can be set at either 5% or based on a CPI not to exceed 10%. These adjustments need to be approved prior to a municipal election, and then they become effective starting a new term for a council member. Currently, the city council's monthly salary is $1,620.56. In addition, the council's practice has been to typically divide the increase that you have considered over 2 years. You'll see that there's a chart that provides you some historical background of the increases since 2015. Just as an additional point, increases in compensation may be considered to align with a rising cost of living, increasing demands of public service. Compensation increases can also help ensure that qualified individuals are attracted to and can remain in elected positions, supporting effective governance. I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from council?
I don't have any questions.
No questions. Madam Clerk, any public comments?
No comments.
And if I'll just make one comment, you'll see in the recommendations that, again, the permissible amount is 5% to be considered. So the ordinance currently has just a blank in there for the percentage. So based on what the city council determines, that number will be inserted into the ordinance.
Thank you. Council discussion. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Sure. So thank you very much for this. I was actually going to request to add the following language to the ordinance, which is any council member may, at their sole discretion, decline to receive all or any portion of the salary or salary increase authorized by this ordinance by submitting a written waiver to the city clerk. It is my understanding that this is something that we can do, but I think it is important for full transparency and to make it cleaner to have it be a part of the ordinance.
Question for the city attorney. It's already in policy. Is there any benefit to including it in the ordinance? The city's policy already allows for us to decline.
Right. So, I mean, placing in an ordinance, again, just reiterates what's in a policy. So it's really up to the council. You're not going to get any additional authorization for that.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, in addition to that, just my discussion on this item is, I was actually hoping that moving forward, we could align the increase to CPI, to the Consumer Price Index. I think that aligning this somewhere to where it's similar to an average over the year, it would ensure compensation, that the compensation keeps up with the cost of living. It also would allow to broaden access to public services, although these might be modest inflation adjusted compensations. They would help ensure that people who are serving on the city council are not just limited to individuals with independent wealth or flexible financial circumstances. I can say that personally I have had to pay for childcare, for example. So I think it's important to have a diverse group of people who can serve on this council and not have financial burdens be a barrier. And I think that does help to strengthen our democracy when you can have a broader representation instead of just having one set of group. I talked a little bit about the reduction in financial barriers for future candidates. And so I would be in support of it and to come up with a number that would be probably around the average, which would be like a 3.3, 3.5.
Councilmember Santangelo, did you want to say something?
Sure, thank you. I feel like we have the same discussion every 2 years. I'm not sure if it's going to come out any differently this time. I agree with Councilmember Martinez-Bravo. I think that it's really important that we take a good look at what we're receiving as compensation because of the access to public service. Councilmember or Vice Mayor Martinez-Bravo used the example of having to pay for childcare. I have a full-time job on top of serving for the council, and I have to take, frequently have to take days off of work in order to fulfill my city council responsibilities. And so that money helps in those times. And so I don't want money to ever be a barrier for somebody to be able to serve, or be able to be attracted to public service, or be able to be retained in public service. And I like the idea of aligning it with CPI, and I would be in favor of that as well.
Mr. Kildee.
Okay, in lieu of what's been said, I think I certainly don't want to give us as council members, it's a service of love here that we do. And I wouldn't want to give us more of an increase than any of our city employees do. Having said that, I do think it's important that we somewhat keep up with the rate of inflation. And my suggestion is to do 3% for both years. That's my suggestion this year. We can certainly bring it back to policy and have them talk about whether or not we want to do a full CPI. CPI is running a little bit higher now, but it is a little bit of a moving target, somewhere around 4%. But I know the Fed's goal is about 3%. So that's my suggestion, is that we do a 3% for the 2 years.
Mr. Tremblay.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Rachel, I have a question for you on the staff report. In the government code provision, it says it cannot exceed, and this is the second bullet, an amount equal to inflation since January 1, 2024, based on this California CPI, not to exceed 10% for each calendar year. How does that relate to, we're now in 2026? How would you interpret that relative to any action taken for, because we're being asked to take action for the 27 and 28 calendar years. And I'm inclined to agree with both Martita and Susan and Kevin relative to doing a CPI-based increase, but I'm thinking that from a simplicity standpoint, it would be better to do the 3 and 3, but anyway, sorry, I'm digressing. How do you interpret that particular clause?
Well, I know when we've worked with finance to try and determine that as well, it's a little difficult because we don't have all the CPI information that you would actually need for the 2026 year. So we've not used the CPI method, and so we would have to go back and determine how to, based on this formula, because I believe there's a quarter, there's a period of time that is just, we don't have yet. And maybe, Mark, we kind of emailed on this before, that it could be in part because when we bring the item, we don't quite have the full period of year before the municipal election. But typically, cities do like to bring this well before an election, so this is usually when you see these items. But if that's something you want us to look into, how to formulate it within the statute, then I think we can do that. We just might have to bring it back.
If we were to bifurcate 2027 and 2028, let me give you a hypothetical. If we were to say we want to do an increase of 3% right now for like on a go-forward basis, that would include 2027. But we would leave aside for the second year the ability to shape an ordinance that would provide for CPI. That way, an ordinance could be drafted, it would go to our policy committee, we could take a complete look at it. That would set the table, I guess, for 29 and 30, et cetera, but we could even make those changes for 28, could we not, if we bifurcated it?
If you just wanted to do 1 year, it just needs to be done before, so it could just be for 2027, and then that would apply to 27 and 28. And then before your next election, so if we have this election's in 2026, so
wouldn't be-
before the next 2028.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be until November 2028, but if this increase were approved, when does it take effect?
January 1, 2027.
January, so it's always on a calendar year basis. I guess what I was trying to figure out is if we did a sum certain right now, could we come back in the second year, beginning January 1 of 2028, and put into place an ordinance that would be more CPI
so
focused?
if you wanted-
I hope I'm articulating it right.
Yeah, so if you just wanted to do an increase that would apply for 2027, then you could come back and study the other issue to address what you want it to be for 2028 and potentially sort of a go forward.
Okay. I mean, I'm ambivalent on this. I happen to agree with Councilmember Kildee relative to the 3% and 3%, but on the other hand, I do agree with you. I think a better basis to do this on a go forward is to put a CPI formula in place. So what I'm suggesting is maybe we ought to consider bifurcating it and doing a 3% increase for 2027. Yes, effective January 1, 2027. And during the 2027 year, we look at amending the ordinance, and then any increase based on CPI could be, if we were to adopt something in 2027, any increase in CPI could be in effect for the year 2028.
Before the next election.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and then maybe that's when we can figure out how the CPI formula works. I honestly, I've not used that in other jurisdictions, so we would spend some time to kind of figure out how that works.
Well, if you came back to us and said it's not going to work, can't bifurcate it, then we would have still taken action tonight
to cover
based on that hypothetical, doing a 3% for 2027.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, I know it can work. I'm just saying I haven't looked into it, but I know we can figure that out once you take it to policy.
Okay.
Question for the city attorney. If we only approve this for 2027, the way I read your memo, is that we could not change it for 2028 because it's in an election year. It has to be passed in an election year.
It has to be passed prior to be effective, it has to be passed prior to a municipal election, and then it goes into effect once your term starts.
So if we only approved an increase for 2027 tonight, we wouldn't have an opportunity to change it for 2028.
Well, then you'd be almost in the same boat you are right now, because it would be 2028, right now 2026. So before that next election, you'd be able to do another consideration. Again, the way you've done it here at the city, if you tend to split, you've taken one amount and then you split it over 2 years. But technically, you can just do the 1 year and then it's 3%, and that goes forward until you do another change. But you can do it in 2028.
Well, let's say we tried it a different way, because I do think that the inflation amount is an appropriate benchmark, and I think that's where you're coming from, Councilmember Kildee, and I think where my colleagues are coming from. Flip it around. Let's say you were to do 3 and 3 tonight. Could you come back in 2027 and amend the ordinance so that effective January 1 of 2028, there would be a CPI increase during 2028, notwithstanding that you would have adopted under that hypothetical, you would have adopted 3% tonight?
Yeah, I think in general, you're supposed to do it one time, but I'd have to go back and look. There is sort of this, consideration that you do it one time and not repeat it. But I haven't looked at that specifically to be able to respond on that. You could definitely do the 3% for 2027, and then we can look into those different options for the council.
So I know the mayor asked the question, so you're asked the question on this. So you could do a 3% for 2027, but during 2027, come back and revisit this. You could come back and advise us, and we could take action, and a separate action sometime during 2027 that would be effective for 2028.
I think it would actually be in 2028 you would do it.
Yeah. So
Because we've already done a 2027 increase. So
Yeah, but I'm thinking about okay, sorry to go down in the weeds on
No,
this.
no.
If you did 3% tonight, that would be effective January 1 of 2027. That rate would be 3% to the 1,620, or that amount. That would last through December 31 of 2027. If you wanted to increase that for 2028, based on that hypothetical, you'd have to come back at some point during 2027, but I'm seeing the mayor shake his head going, no, I
it's
don't think you
almost
can do
like
that.
2 increases in 1 year is what I'd be concerned about. I know we'd make it effective the next year, but there is this language in here that kind of talks about the 5% each calendar year from the last adjustment. I think that we could probably do that. I just don't want to misadvise on that. Because again, the practice has generally been to split. You basically say, oh, we take the 5%, we split it in some way, is what you've done over the years. So if we're going to do a one-time increase and then come back the next year, I believe it's permissible. I've not looked. I mean, I don't see the statutes prohibiting it.
But the limit is 5% per year.
Correct.
Not 5% for the overall 2-year period,
Right.
right? Okay.
I think our city manager has something to say.
If I could just make a potential recommendation, is that potentially the council could either select a hard number 3 and 3 now, or 3% and then CPI in the second year, and then we could determine the parameters in which that CPI is determined. And the second year is potentially, I don't want to put words in your mouth, council member, but that we determine what that second year is based on CPI in that second year. Or you just go with the 3 and 3 and
Can that occur under the government code?
Well, it's one or the other, right? So it's the 5% or the inflation amount. So I guess you could do 1 year of the 5% and then 1 year of the inflation, under the 5%, and then the next year do a CPI. We don't know what the number is yet, so we'd have to, put that in later. So it's clear what the increase is, because we don't have the CPI for the future if you're going to do it for 2028.
So as of now, we can, it's not, I just want to get clarity, because I would be in support of this first year, 3%, and then take it back to study for CPI the following year.
And find out what the CPI is.
And find out what the CPI is, and then we can
present
have that discussion back.
that. I believe that is possible. Yes, I believe that is possible, but I guess I just don't want to say for sure in case I'm wrong, but I don't see why not, because we're able to split this into two now. Why can't we then take another ordinance next year to address that other year?
Okay. So
Okay, my turn for comments
Yes.
before you make your motion,
Yes.
Vice Mayor. 2 years ago, I was one of the no votes on this thing. It passed 3-2. I did decline the increase for those 2 years. I'm likely to decline it this time, but I will not vote against my fellow council members on whatever motion is made this evening. I will support it with the caveat that I'll probably decline it once again. Now, one of the things I would like to say, and it's not part of this ordinance tonight, I'd like to look at our vehicle allowance of $200 a month, because I burn through $200 every 2 weeks with wear and tear and fuel on my car. So I'd like that to be something we look at going forward, increasing the vehicle allowance for council members because of the amount of driving we have to do going to meetings throughout the county, not just in Camarillo. So now, is there a motion?
So I can motion to do the.
Hold
Oh,
it,
go ahead.
Mr. Kildee.
Rachel, if we do hook it on to the CPI, is there a limit? In other words, let's just say CPI goes a little goofy and it gets up to 6, 7, 8%. What is the cap on that we can do?
The statute is 10%.
That would be 10%, okay.
Okay, so I can motion to, request to add the language to the ordinance indicating, again, any council member may at their sole discretion decline to receive all or any portion of the salary or salary increase authorized by this ordinance by submitting a written waiver to the city clerk. That's the first part. And the second part is to provide a 3% salary increase for that first year. And then for the second portion of it is to bring it back, for it to go to policy committee and then bring that information back. Is that fine, Rachel?
Yeah, I didn't know also if you wanted to just put that first comment as a recital versus putting it in an ordinance. Just generally, those sort of policy things are better placed in a resolution or the recitals versus your ordinance. Because that's not really the statute portion of it. That's more of just a policy. So if you're open to that, but I mean, if you want to present it either way, just.
I would be open to that, for it to be like in the form of.
Yeah,
a
we have recitals here that discuss that, and then we can indicate it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and I know Mr. Tremblay has something to say.
Vice Mayor, would you consider amending the motion to? I want to turn the mic on. Would you consider amending the motion to say that we're sending it back to the city attorney to look at with the intention that beginning for 2028 and in future years, the increase be pegged to consumer price index increases? I just
Yes.
want to make sure that there's some clarification regarding the intent.
Yes, I can modify my motion for that.
I'll withdraw my first second and make a second on that.
A second from Mr.
Yes.
Kildee.
Okay.
And I just have a quick question before we vote. I believe protocol, at least for me in the past, is that the declining this goes through the Human Resources Director, not the city clerk. And that's who I've filled out the paperwork with the last 2 years. So
That's right.
for clarification, it should be through the HR Director and not the city clerk.
Is that fine, Rachel? For
That's great.
legal? Okay, I'm fine with
All
it.
right, we have a motion and we have a second. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Santangelo,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo,
Yes.
Councilmember Kilby,
Yes.
Councilmember Tremblay. Yes. Mayor Tennyson,
Yes.
that passes unanimously.
Okay, we will move on to item V, the Sixth Amendment to the Employment Agreement with the City Manager and District Manager. Again, our city attorney's going to
Yes.
take this one.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This item before you is the Sixth Amendment to the Employment Agreement with the City Manager, District Manager. On June 10th, the City Council and District in closed session conducted a performance evaluation as well as contract negotiations for the City Manager, Mr. Ramirez. And as a result of that closed session, the City Council is considering a Sixth Amendment to the Employment Agreement providing for a salary increase of 7%. This 7% increase, if approved by the council, will change the city manager's salary from $326,351 to $349,196 to be effective July 1. This new salary range is within the range of city manager salaries in Ventura County, and the increase is consistent with the average salary increase of all employees within the city. This increase will also have a corresponding total increase in the manager's benefits, an amount of $213,460 annually. In addition, the Government Code Section 54953C does require an oral report as it relates to these compensation changes, and the report I have just made is compliant with that requirement. And if you have any questions, I can answer those questions.
Anybody have any questions of the city attorney? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments?
One speaker, Spencer Ritchie.
Welcome, Spencer.
All right. Okay. All right. So once again, I am Spencer Ritchie. I have lived here in Camarillo my whole life. And I do not think City Manager Ramirez should get another salary increase. For one thing, he already makes, I think, by far the highest amount of compensation for a city manager here in Ventura County. This despite there being 4 cities in the county alone that are much larger than Camarillo is. Those cities, you know, against Camarillo is about 70,000 residents. Those 4 cities are Ventura at about 110,000 residents. Tio and Simi with about 125,000 residents each. And of course, Oxnard with a bit over 200,000 residents. And then the other thing too is that in the past few years alone, there has been multiple lawsuits against the city over stuff like discrimination and just not good work conditions. You know, in the departments that, you know, City Manager Ramirez is technically the guy at the top. I don't know how much of this is directly his doing. I'm not that much of an expert, but I don't think it seems that necessary or that really physically responsible of the city to, you know, approve a 7% salary increase for, you know, in light of, you know, all these expensive lawsuits and everything that the city is going through. And then also, again, tying it to the, to the flock camera thing. How much do those flock Alper cameras cost the city every year? Again, if you're going to keep pouring that much money into the flock Alper cameras and directly assist ICE by giving them the data they need to keep hunting down, you know, the people who make, who, you know, for lack, you know, most relevantly to this, that power Camarillo's economic engine and generate taxes for the city. Yeah, it just does not seem that fiscally responsible to give City Manager Ramirez this much of a raise right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Spencer. Madam Clerk, any more comments?
No comments.
Hearing none, we'll go to council discussion, and I'm going to exercise my prerogative and be the first person to speak, unless somebody objects. I think it's appropriate that our residents question the decisions we make. We've gotten a couple of written comments. We heard Spencer talk. I think questions about compensation and our decisions are entirely appropriate and in fact healthy. Taxpayers should expect accountability from their elected officials, and they should expect us to be able to explain the decisions we make. Tonight, however, I believe it's important that we evaluate these based on facts, performance, and results, not innuenda and social media misinformation that's out there. No one likes paying more for essential services. I certainly don't. But those increases to our water rates and sewer are not reflective of a single employee's compensation package. Second, let's look at the condition of our city if you want to compare us to other cities within the county. Under Greg's leadership, Camarillo has maintained one of the strongest financial positions of any city in the county, and I will venture to say the state of California. We have balanced budgets. We have strong financial audits. We have strong reserve levels. And we continue to provide high levels of service to our residents that they expect and deserve from us. We have strengthened public safety over the last several years under Greg's leadership. We advanced major infrastructure projects, one of which we're working on currently with the water reclamation plant. We have expanded efforts to address homelessness with Project Hope. Project Hope has grown since Mr. Ramirez has been here, from a deputy sheriff and a behavioral health employee to now include a member of his office staff, as well, I believe, as a housing specialist from the county continuum of care. This has come under Greg's leadership. We have continued to support economic development in the city, and we have successfully facilitated the arrival of Costco, a project that will benefit our community and our tax base for years to come. And interestingly, one of the criticisms is how much money the city spent trying to defend against the lawsuit of the citizens. And what people need to know is the city didn't spend any money. Costco indemnified us. That was part of the development agreement. And again, this came under Mr. Ramirez's leadership. Do we have challenges? Absolutely. Every city faces challenges. Are there lawsuits? Yeah. There's difficult policy decisions. And just because there's a lawsuit does not mean that the city's at fault. Sometimes, and from my prior experience, having dealt with lawsuits as a member of the sheriff's office, sometimes it's easier to settle than it is to fight. It's cheaper to settle than it is to continue fighting. So please don't make any judgment based on 2 former employee lawsuits when you don't have the background and requisite information. Do we have housing challenges and regional water issues? Yes. The question is not whether challenges exist. The question is whether the organization is being managed effectively while confronting these challenges. And I believe the answer, with Greg's leadership as the city manager, is absolutely unequivocally yes. It's also important to remember that the city manager does not determine his own compensation. The city council does. We reviewed performance. We judged him against the strategic goals and objectives that the city council set for him. We look at his progress on those things, and that's what we judge. We also review market data, comparing him to other city managers, not just in the county, but the regional area. And he is not the highest paid city manager in Ventura County. We evaluate the results, and then we make a public decision, which is what we're doing tonight. Reasonable people may disagree about the amount of any salary adjustment. I respect those differing opinions. But I also believe it's important to acknowledge what has been accomplished. Camarillo remains financially strong. It remains exceptionally safe. It remains one of the most desirable communities in California. Those outcomes did not happen by chance. They are the result of dedicated employees, engaged residents, elected leadership, and professional management all working together toward a common goal. That's the standard by which I believe we should evaluate his performance, and that is what I believe we've done. Anybody else now? Go ahead, Mr. Kildee.
I've had the pleasure to work with 5 city managers in this city. And those 5 city managers, I will put them up against any city managers in our state as far as the quality. That includes Mr. Ramirez, and Mr. Ramirez is first among those equals. Our mayor, I think, was well said and well spoken, as he always is on that. In my line of work, $349,000 is a lot of money. But we also expect a lot from Mr. Ramirez, too. And we will continue to expect a lot from Mr. Ramirez, too. What was said that on the docket, since he's come here and moved Camarillo to one of the forefronts of the city, I think is unparalleled. And I think Camarillo's best days are ahead of itself here. And a lot of it has to do with our leadership here. I think we do base it on facts. I think we do base it on futuristic thinking here and the quality of our employees here. I will put our employees up with any employee in the state. They are that good. They're that filtered. It's extremely difficult to get hired on with the city. And one of the reasons is that we put quality as number one. And we've done that ever since I've been on this council, and we'll continue to do that. So again, it's a lot of money, but I believe it's well earned. And we look forward to a very bright future with Greg. And we're going to have a really good future with Greg as our leader here. And I think that all I can say is that it's an honor and privilege for me to sit up here and to have the leadership that we have currently in our city.
Mr. Tremblay.
So, Mr. Mayor and Councilmember Kildee, you've put me in the position of having articulated just about everything I was going to say.
Sorry.
So I'm in an unenviable position. But contextually, I do have a few. So ditto. Ditto to what both of you have said, and a very strong ditto. A few other things in context that people should keep in mind. First of all, notwithstanding the erroneous emails that I got, Greg is not the highest paid city manager in Ventura County. I've spent almost 40 years representing public entities. And when you look at his experience, it's over 20 years as a city manager, including the time spent before he came to Camarillo. When you look at the size of the budget, well north of $150 million for 26-27, both on the revenue and expenditure side. When you look at the ultimate responsibility line for management, and we have outstanding employees of 175 employees. And when you look at an investment portfolio that he is directly responsible for in conjunction with the finance director, in excess of $250 million, in context, we're paying an appropriate salary. And this is an appropriate increase. I wish I could go through the accomplishments, but I think the mayor and Councilmember Kildee already did a very fine job on that. So I'm supportive of this and waiting for the motion.
Susan.
Well, as we go down the line, there's even less and less to say. Thank you. You know, I thank all three of you for your words and being so articulate. I know that there is some chatter out there on social media, and so I'm glad that's been clarified. I have a list of accomplishments, but they've all been named. So I know that there's been some complaints that we don't really name the specific accomplishment. So I'm glad we've done that here this evening. And I think, Greg, that you are an excellent city manager, and we are lucky to have you. So thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Ditto times 4. That being said, I set very high expectations for myself, and I set very high expectations for the nonprofit that I run, and I set very high expectations for this city. And I think we have an excellent city, and that doesn't happen on its own. It happens because of great leadership. Greg, I think you exemplify that. You uplift Carmen as well, and Carmen is right there behind the scenes doing so much. I'm very proud to be a part of this city and a part of this council. I do believe it's absolutely normal also and healthy to disagree. That being said, because of my background in the social sciences, I am very objective. And so the way that we measure his performance is also a very objective measure. It's not based on because I feel this way. It's really because of what we have accomplished and what we have seen that he has accomplished through these goals and objectives. And so that being said, I am very comfortable with the increase, the 7% increase, and I'm happy to make that motion.
Go ahead, Mr. Tremblay. We have a motion and we have a second. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Santangelo,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo,
Yes.
Councilmember Kildy,
Yes.
Councilmember Tremblay,
Yes.
Mayor Tennyson.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
And with that, we are going to take a short recess until 6:15 p.m. We will reconvene the city council meeting. Next up, after we've spent all this money on pay raises, will be item W, the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget, and adopt the fiscal year 26-27 budget and related resolutions. And I believe Mark, our finance director, is going to lead us off.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council and Sanitary District Board. This item, as you mentioned, is the adoption of the proposed fiscal year 26-27 budget for the city and Camarillo Sanitary District. We held a workshop with the City Council and the Sanitary Board on June 10th to review the proposed budget, and that 2-hour workshop went into some more details. Tonight's presentation will be a brief recap of the major points. The agenda tonight, the budget overview, looking at some specific funds, and then we have 3 other actions: the GASB 54 commitments, the GAN appropriations limit, and the city and CSD compensation. The budget began back in December with a kickoff meeting, then the budget workshop I mentioned on June 10th, and tonight we have the adoption. Also during that time of development, we held 2 separate strategic plan/city council goals and objectives sessions to help build the budget to support those goals and objectives. And the new fiscal year begins on July 1st, 2026. When we build the budget, we look at several different economic factors from several sources, and the consensus forecasts speak to a slowing economy and cautious consumer spending. With inflation at approximately 3.7% measured as of April, the slowing economy has a potential impact on some of our largest revenue sources, property tax and sales tax. But with new upcoming revenue streams, we expect to offset that economic slowdown. As mentioned earlier, the city does have very healthy general fund reserves, and we also have strategic commitments of those reserves that I'll touch on in a few slides. The bottom line is the proposed fiscal year 26-27 budget is balanced. That means that the operating revenues either meet or exceed the operating expenditures. As a citywide summary, we look at all of the different funds in the city for a total of $167.5 million in budgeted expenditures. Now, the city has over 60 funds, different funds to account for different activities, the largest of which is the general fund, which accounts for the majority of the city services, followed by the water and sanitary district funds for those utility operations, and the capital funds or capital projects, and those will be the 4 I'll touch on. Looking at the revenue side of the equation, total of all funds, $159.2 million is the proposed budget, with the largest slice of the pie there being taxes and charges for services. And charges for services typically mean the charges for water and sanitary services. Water and sewer services, another way of saying it. We look back again at the total of all expenditures, this time by category. And you can see here, by far the largest slice is the operational charges. And then that's followed by the salaries and benefits and the capital program, or the CIP. Now we turn the focus to the general fund. General fund by itself has a budget of revenues, $59.5 million, as that largest dark blue shaded slice of the pie. And the breakout to the left shows sales tax and property tax being the largest of those 2 taxes. On the expenditure side of the general fund, $62.2 million, the largest slice is the operational charges, again followed by salaries and benefits, and then internal service charges or other charges to run all of the services for the city. GASB statement number 54 back in 2011 requires categorization, classification of fund balance in the annual comprehensive financial report we refer to as the ACFR. And the city council may commit fund balance for specific purposes by resolution. General fund balance is projected to be $99.2 million at June 30th of 2027 at the end of next fiscal year. And the recommended commitments total $95.3 million, which I'll show you on the next slide. And by the way, commitments are the GASB technical term for earmarking funds for a specific purpose. So the specific purposes here shown are the first one, the City Council reserve policy goal, is a goal set at 50% of the general fund's operating expenditures for the year, which we've covered here on the first line. The other commitments include economic development, natural disaster recovery, Camarillo Springs debris remediation, senior center, facility improvement projects, information technology reserve, a continuum of care, and a loan to the water fund, which has been a commitment for 2 years now, but has not been necessary. We put that 2 years ago in the, with the idea that we might need to draw on that. We have not yet. It is intended to be an as-needed source of money. Hopefully, it will be used for capital projects that are one-time in nature. Switching over to the water funds, proposed budget for revenues, $27.4 million. By far, the largest chunk is charges for services, and that's typical of enterprise funds, which account for business-type activities that are primarily financed by user fees and charges. On the expenditure side, $27.1 million, the largest slice is the operational charges, salaries and benefits, internal charges, other costs to provide the water services to the community. On the sanitary district funds for sewer service, you see a similar picture. $29 million in revenues. Again, the largest slice is the charges for services. And switching over to the expenditure side, the largest slice here is the salaries and benefits, then operational charges, and again, the CIP for projects, infrastructure projects to help maintain the system, improve the system, and continue the sewer services to the community. On the capital expenditure side, we show the planned fiscal year 26-27 CIP, or capital improvement projects, by category. Transportation being the largest, a total of $28.3 million, with transportation being the largest, followed by sanitary, buildings and grounds, and housing. And there will be a separate presentation on the 5-year capital improvement plan after this. The annual GAN appropriations limit is Article 13B of the state constitution that limits the amount of taxes that can be appropriated by government. It's required to be set each fiscal year and adopted by resolution, and it involves annual inflation and population growth factors. The appropriation limit for next fiscal year, 26-27, has been calculated at $155.8 million, and the appropriations subject to the limit, or the budget that we have in place, is $66.3 million. So you can see that we are below the limit by $89.5 million. The last section that we have to take action on each year is the city and sanitary district compensation, classification, and benefits program. The city council goal is to maintain an effective workforce through competitive salaries, benefits, and training. On July 1, 2026, there is proposed implementation of a 4% cost of living, or COLA, adjustment for all positions. The benefit structure largely maintains existing levels with the addition of one holiday and some additional administrative updates. There's a compensation requirement similar to what you heard as an oral report on the city manager's compensation previously. Government Code Section 54953 D3 requires that before city council approval of city compensation charges, the city give an oral report of local agency executive compensation, including department heads. These classifications receive the same 4% cost of living adjustment as all other classifications that I mentioned, effective July 1, 2026, which results in the following base monthly salaries. For the assistant city manager position, monthly salary of $26,826. For the administrative services / chief innovation officer, $23,173. For the director of community development, $22,533. For the director of finance, $22,130. For the director of human resources, $21,574. For the director of public works, $24,331. These new salaries are within the ranges of corresponding position salaries in other Ventura County cities. And that concludes my brief report. I'm happy to answer any questions before we get to the recommended actions.
Any questions from council? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, any public comments?
One public comment from Spencer Ritchie.
Welcome again, Spencer.
Okay, hi. For the third time, third time's a charm. I am Spencer Ritchie. I am a resident of Camarillo, lifelong resident of Camarillo. This sounds pretty sound. This proposed fiscal year 26-27 budget. Generally good work. Yeah. Again, yeah, so yeah, I do generally agree that like city salaries and stuff, they including for the council and stuff, they should be high enough so that people from all walks of life can be involved in running our city and helping run our city and that stuff. That the need for that it cannot be overstated. Which means that in order to keep the city to it's pretty much one of its founding goals of financial responsibility, the city needs to be smarter about what it spends its money on. And again, for the third time this evening, I will point out that the whopping 25 flock Alper cameras, again, for context, Oxnard, which is multiple times our size, has only 19 flock Alper cameras. That we know for sure all their data is going into a national database that ICE has full access to, which you know, I don't know. I don't know what to say if you do not suspect at all that ICE is using when this is over, ICE won't have used any of that data to target people here in Camarillo. And yeah, that's our taxpayer money funding ICE's continuing terror on our city and our economy by, targeting people who are paying taxes. If nothing else, it's people who are paying taxes here. So yeah, we do not at least I would a lot of other tax-paying Camarians, we do not like the flock Alper cameras. Thank you.
Thank you, Spencer. Madam Clerk, anyone else?
No other comments.
Okay, council discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'm ready to make a motion relative to Camarillo Sanitary District recommended actions 1 and 2.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Santangelo,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo,
Yes.
Councilmember Kildy,
Yes.
Councilmember Tremblay,
Yes.
Mayor Tennyson.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I move the City Council recommended actions 1 through 5 respectively in the agenda.
1 through 5, or I have 1 through 4 on mine.
Yeah, I have to recuse myself from
It's the recommended actions, right? 1 through 5. I have 1 through 5 on mine.
Correct. That Councilmember Kildy has a conflict on 5, so I think if we could take 1 through 4.
That's why
Okay.
we're doing that.
How about I amend my motion to be items 1 through 4?
I can second that.
We have a motion and a second on items 1 through 4.
Councilmember Santangelo,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo,
Yes.
Councilmember Kildy,
Yes.
Councilmember Tremblay,
Yes.
Mayor Tennyson.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
And now we will ask
I'll
Mr.
wait for Mr.
Kilby
Kilby
to
to
leave.
exit the.
Yes.
And just
exit
a note for
council
the
chambers.
record, due to his business being located near a trolley stop, the FPPC has indicated that there should be a separate vote. So he is not on the dais, and you may now consider that action.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move City Council recommended actions number 5. Adopt a resolution approving the 26-27 trolley budget.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Santangelo,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo.
Yes.
For the record, Councilmember Kildy is absent. Councilmember Tremblay,
Yes.
Mayor Tennyson.
Yes.
That passes 4-1 with Councilmember Kildy dissenting.
Recusing.
No.
Recusing, excuse me.
Recusing. Okay, if somebody could get Mr. Kildee back. Welcome back, Mr. Kildee. We missed you. We missed you. We will move on to item X, the 2025 Urban Water Management Plan and Water Shortage Contingency Plan. And I'll end there and let Mr. Marple take over. Mr. Maple, I mean.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. My name is Eric Maple. I'm the Water Resources Manager for the City of Camarillo, and I'll be discussing the Urban Water Management Plan and the Water Shortage Contingency Plan, as well as associated recommended changes to the Camarillo Municipal Code. The Urban Water Management Plan is a water resources planning document required by the state of California to be submitted every 5 years by all water providers and agencies across the state that are of a minimum size. It's currently due to the state by July 1st. The document mainly focuses on drinking water, but does briefly touch on other water such as wastewater and recycled water. It is a thorough review of water demand, sources, and other details to evaluate water reliability looking into the future. It does not establish project commitments or planning for projects, but rather ensures the city is doing its job and making sure there's enough drinking water to serve the demand now and into the future across varying conditions. As part of the state requirements, the city must update its water shortage contingency plan, which I'll talk about shortly. Since the city's last urban water management plan 5 years ago, much has changed in terms of the city's water supply mix, regulations, and assumptions, mostly for the better due to the city's desalter and our reduced reliance on imported water, but regulations have become more complex, and climate change has made water supply management more difficult. The results of the Urban Water Management Plan are best summarized that water supplies meet current and future demands and no immediate actions are necessary. Staff and the engineering firm hired to complete the study took into account various changes since the last plan, as well as future city efforts to evaluate different drought and water availability scenarios. The conclusion is that the city has reliable drinking water supply for its customers. Additionally, the document was reviewed in coordination with the city attorney's office and legal counsel to ensure it's consistent with current and long-term water supply objectives. While the Urban Water Management Plan isn't intended to address water conservation requirements, as it's more of a water supply reliability document and evaluation, mandated water conservation requirements, such as what the state calls making conservation a way of life, was taken into account. The Water Shortage Contingency Plan document outlines various conservation levels the city can require to address drought, water shortage, or mandated reductions in water use. It's required to be updated when the Urban Water Management Plan is updated, and it may be updated separately to keep it current. These levels of conservation or required reduction in water use are approximately 10% increments of reduction, and they're referred to as stages. We're currently in stage 1, and we've been there since June of 2023 when we wound down from the last drought. This limits residential irrigation watering to 4 days a week maximum. At this time, staff's recommendation is to stay at stage 1 as it requires minimal conservation, but keeps the emphasis that conservation remains important now and in the future. The details of the Water Shortage Contingency Plan are currently outlined in the existing Municipal Code, Chapter 1412, including the various stages of how to implement them, and it's very detailed. Staff's recommendation is to remove those details from the Muni Code and instead have the Muni Code refer to the Water Shortage Contingency Plan document. The CMC changes or the Muni Code changes proposed as part of this council item were made in coordination with the city attorney's office to ensure the appropriate processes required in state law are outlined in the Muni Code while allowing the Muni Code to refer to this water shortage document for the actual stages. This allows staff not to change the Muni Code if we need to change this water shortage contingency plan document, which makes it easier for us in the future. If council wishes to move from a stage 1 drought condition or reduction we are now to a more restrictive stage or a less restrictive stage. That requires council action. At that time, if there was a scenario that required that, it would still require council action to do that, so we could fine-tune what that reduction was from the plan at that time if we had to meet that current situation. This concludes staff's presentation, and staff recommends the actions as outlined in the council agenda item, and I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for Eric? Go ahead, Mr. Kildee.
So Eric, in your opinion, we are in compliance if we do pass this ordinance tonight?
That's correct. The state has detailed guidance on how to complete this report, and we've completed it in accordance with the guidance and the state law.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Eric? Hearing none, this is a public hearing. I will open the public hearing. Madam Clerk, any comments?
There are no comments.
No comments. We'll close the public comment portion of the hearing.
Your Honor, I'll move the suggested action.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Santangelo?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo?
Yes.
Councilmember Kildee?
Yes.
Councilmember Tremblay? Yes. Mayor Tennyson?
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Thank you. We will move on to item Y, placing direct assessments on Ventura County secured property tax roll, fiscal year 26-27 for delinquent utility balances. And again, I believe we're going to hear from our finance director. Mark?
Thank you. Members of the Sanitary Board, this is an annual resolution to place delinquent sewer service charges on the county property tax roll for collection at the time property taxes are paid. CSD Ordinance Number 49 authorizes delinquent sewer charges to be placed on the county's secured property tax roll. On April 29th, notices were mailed to 56 customers informing them of this public hearing and the intent to place their delinquent accounts on the tax roll for collection. As of the report posting date, there were 15 delinquent accounts outstanding, and since that time, 2 accounts have been paid in full and 1 has made partial payment. It's fairly common to have customers at the last minute pay, and staff does make a final review before sending the updated list to the county. This is a public hearing, and notices were published in the local newspaper on May 30th and June 6th. And that concludes my brief report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mark? Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah,
Kildee.
Mark, is it a lien that's actually placed on these individuals? And my second question, is it about the same number that we had in previous years? Is it pretty continuous on the numbers that we see year to year?
To the first question, yes, it is a lien on the property, same as a property tax amount due. And as far as the second question, the numbers are fairly consistent. One change that we did this year is we started to include the property owners in situations where the tenants were the account holder, because we cannot go after the tenants, we can only go after the property owners. And because of that, the numbers did increase. But when it comes down to the final list, most of those additional owners that were on the list did make arrangements or pay. So all of those were resolved, and the end result was the numbers are fairly consistent.
Thank you.
Any other questions? This is a public hearing. We'll open it. Madam Clerk, have any written responses or disputes to the proposed assessments been received?
No.
Thank you. Let the record reflect that no written responses or disputes were received. Do we have any public comments on this item?
No comments.
Hearing no comments, the public comment portion of the public hearing is closed.
I'll move the suggested action.
I can second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Santangelo?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo?
Yes.
Councilmember Kildee?
Yes.
Councilmember Tremblay?
Yes.
Mayor Tennyson?
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Thank you. I think this is the first time all year that anybody has said we will now move to item Z, as in zebra. It's the fiscal year 2026-2031 capital improvement program, and we have a list of very important people that are going to start this, and I believe, Mr. Klotzel, you're going to kick it off.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and City Council. We'll get started here with this item that is considering approval of the updated 5-year capital improvement program for fiscal years 2026 through 2031. A lot of information in this process, in this document. We'll be giving a high-level overview tonight and open for questions along the way. But in general, as the overview of the CIP is that it's a capital project planning effort document, an annual process to update that looks at current year and 5 years out. Also a budgetary tool that gets incorporated into the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. And we group the CIP into these categories of transportation, water, sanitary, storm drainage, buildings and grounds, and added this year for the number of projects that we now have within housing and information technology. As mentioned, this covers the 6 years, including current fiscal year, and then the 5 next years, with a total of 87 projects, with a combined estimated total cost of $438 million over that 6 years. So we'll cover a few project highlights from each category, starting here with transportation. With the Pleasant Valley Road Bike Lanes project, and that segment of Pleasant Valley Road between 5th Street, the railroad tracks essentially, to west to Las Posas Road will be widened, and it will construct a shoulder on both sides that will include buffered Class 2 bike lanes. And the shoulder will also serve as a refuge area for vehicles that need to pull over, which is not available at this time. The construction contract has been awarded, and the contractor is in the very early stages of finalizing schedule and the various particulars that go into the initial planning of the project, with construction anticipated in mid to late summer. We don't have an exact date of that at this time, but that'll be coming up soon. The project in the contract does allow and include a 3-month full closure of Pleasant Valley Road that will be coming up. Again, specific dates will be determined in the future, and there will be extensive noticing to affected residents and the general public traveling through there, with a full detour plan established that we feel is going to work well to accomplish a lot of work while that closure is in effect. Being a narrow road to begin with poses the challenge to keep traffic flowing through there during construction. So next project I wanted to highlight is the bridge replacement at Las Posas Road and Ventura Boulevard, replacing the deteriorating concrete box drain that is under the road and serves as a bridge for the road over that drainage channel. And then it also extends the drain a bit to the west, and that is going to accommodate bike lanes and sidewalk, and also future Las Posas widening. The design of this project is close to completion. If council recalls, some steps and several months ago was completing the environmental process. Both CEQA and NEPA are completed. That is a step that has to be completed prior to working on the right-of-way clearances that are needed. The project will be entirely within city-owned property for the drain and the roadways. There are some easements on the hotel side and the outlets property, and also the airport to complete the work. So we're in process on getting that done. The environmental clearance, which is a critical step to get authorization through Caltrans to move forward with the project. And the reason that goes through Caltrans is the funding authority for the federal grant monies that have been received for this project, $4.85 million. We're under a very tight deadline for the use of those funds, and staff is working constantly and really hard to get that completed and that project, the funding secured, and then move into final design, bidding, and construction next year. Next project, wanted to highlight and touch on a little update on the Camarillo train station undercrossing, which council is familiar with, a new pedestrian undercrossing there, essentially reducing the distance of crossing between the two platforms and improving accessibility. This is a large coordination project with the city essentially managing and facilitating the design, the permitting, and the construction of a joint effort between VCTC and LoSAN. It does require very detailed overview and approval of Union Pacific Railroad, who owns the track right of way through there, along with the Public Utilities Commission, which also reviews anything having to do with crossing of railroad tracks. So that is in the works. We've achieved a milestone of about 30% design, which Union Pacific cleared to move forward in the next steps. So that was a significant effort. Still need to finalize the permitting process through Union Pacific Railroad and the Public Utilities Commission, but that is underway. Again, close coordination through all of that with VCTC and LoSAN. And the funding elements of that, as council recalls, we have a mix of SB1 funding and then a LoSAN grant is funding the majority of the project. And there are deadlines with that. The most upcoming deadline is on the SB1 funding, and in coordination with VCTC, an extension of that is expected to be approved on Friday by the California Transportation Commission. Extensive processes to get that in place. So that extension is expected to occur. That'll extend that funding through February of next year, which is going to allow time to complete those steps necessary to secure that funding. Another element in the works, as council recalls, that property is owned by VCTC. And again, the tracks running through are Union Pacific, and we are drafting and reviewing an agreement with VCTC for the use, the operation, the maintenance of the train station. Currently, the city maintains the parking lot, the landscaping, the lighting. There's not been a formal agreement for that established in the past, and so that is in the works as a part of this project to get that in place, covering indemnification and liability and all the responsibilities of the city and the VCTC spelled out in that agreement. So that's in the works. That'll be coming back to council at the appropriate time for consideration. And I can pause there on the transportation category if there are any questions, or there are several other projects in the document under transportation. I just I'll plan to take a pause at each category to see if there is any questions.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you. I just had one question, and you touched on it a bit. In terms of the bridge replacement at Las Posas and Ventura Boulevard, given that we were provided some secured funding from Congresswoman Brownlee with federal funds, do we have any limitations, or do you foresee any issues in the timing to complete the project and not put any of the funding at risk?
Right. That is the challenge that we're under. That does have a deadline to. It's kind of a complex situation. The project has to get far enough along to have the funding, what's called obligated, and basically to give the grant funding administrators, which again is Caltrans, the assurance that the project is essentially shovel ready and moving forward for the application of those funds. That deadline is September 30 of this year, and we feel confident that we're getting the necessary documents submitted to Caltrans for review.
Mm-hmm.
They understand the criticality of accomplishing that. We also understand that there's many projects that were funded with that same. It wasn't really the source, but the community projects that the different Congress people earmarked essentially for funding.
Mm-hmm.
There's many projects that are in the same boat on moving forward with making sure that we can use those funds. So we're making every effort possible to meet that deadline and not have those funds be at risk. So
Okay.
I'm confident that we're going to be successful in that, and we're working away towards that.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead and continue, Mr. Klausel.
Thank you. Moving on to the water category. The few highlighted projects here, the Charter Oak Pump Station, 2 pump stations, 1 and 2, and those will be new pump stations to reduce reliance on imported state water and using our own local water to the 2 areas that currently are served exclusively by imported water. This project is in close coordination with PVRPD on the one site that's been identified at Charter Oak Park for a pump station. We've in coordination with the district, have held neighborhood outreach meetings and getting input from the neighborhoods and moving forward on putting the concept design together and proceeding with design and eventual construction of that. The other location has been identified on the Pleasant Valley Historical Society site, which the city owns. Up in the northeast corner of that site is a spot. The city currently has our connection to the imported water right there at that site, and then this pump station will be located there to tie into the existing water system. Other important water project is the well D, existing well D treatment, and then a replacement well E at that same site. Implementing treatment at the wellhead to reduce, again, the amount of state water that we use there currently in a blending process. And again, improving the reliability of our water supply system and reducing reliance on that imported water. And then we also have a standby well under design to move forward with installing that out of the desalter site. It's always been a part of the total desalter project package on having a third well to supply the desalter as a backup, essentially ensuring the full capacity of the desalter can be used and have that level of redundancy with the third well. I'll pause there on the water projects, if there's anything water related.
Questions? I have a question for you, David. The Charter Oak pump stations number 1 and 2, you said they will service parts of the city that are now wholly on imported water. That's just about everything north of Las Posas Road, correct?
Almost everything. There are pockets that are. It's based on elevation and the way our existing water system is set up. But yes, these locations are all north of Las Posas that will be served.
And as at this point in time, the desalter does not serve those residents?
That's correct.
Okay. So I'm on imported water. All right, thank you. You answered my question.
You are.
Continue.
Okay, storm drainage category. We have a rehab project, basically replacing deteriorated storm drains. We did a citywide assessment of our storm drain infrastructure some time back and identified locations in prioritization list of locations to be replaced to upgrade our drainage system. And then moving on to sanitary with our water reclamation plant upgrades project not to be outdone by the desalter being the largest project ever. We're moving right along with the water reclamation plant upgrades project. As council is well aware, we've have Jacobs on board as our owner advisor, and the technical studies are in progress. Analyzing many parts and pieces of that project, including the concept of rehabilitation of existing treatment plant infrastructure and/or replacement of the plant. We're in preparation stage to come back to council in July 8th with a workshop to present more information on this project and the status of that. And then we have currently actually under construction is the wastewater system generator project at the 2 pump stations for sanitary pump stations at 3 and 5. Replacement of those generators were past their useful life and are being replaced. A replacement has already been installed down at the plant, and upgrades to the switching and connections need to be completed, and that's a part of this ongoing project also. And then we have the Pleasant Valley Road sewer force main that's been identified for another additional force main to be installed for redundancy. And that's project has been designed for the entire length of pipeline from pump station 3 all the way down to the treatment plant. What we've done is broken that into phases, with this first phase completing the work right at pump station 3, and there's deep undercrossings that need to be installed with the drainage structure that's out there, and we want to coordinate that with the Pleasant Valley Bike Lanes project. So those two projects are going to be coordinated at the same time, so we don't come back and tear that part of the road up in the near future with this force main project. We're still in the final analysis on what sections of the new force main should be installed when. That'll be sometime in the future. We feel the road will not be, the entire length of the road will not be torn up, for that pipeline. It'll line up more than likely with additional paving that's going to be required in the future on that road. So we're coordinating those efforts to minimize the impacts of what we are improving out there. So pause there on the sanitary projects. Any questions?
No questions. Continue, sir.
Thank you. Now getting to housing, and I'll turn this to our Community Development Director, Bradley Calvert, to touch on this project.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. This is a project I think we're all very excited about as we continue to expand our affordable housing options. But Ardenniel Road is going to provide us with 9 units that will be reserved for very low-income families. It will be mixed use, so we'll have 500 square feet of commercial/retail space in there. This is a project we'll be breaking ground actually next Monday. I hope that you've all received the invitations to the groundbreaking at 11 a.m. We expect to complete this project in September of 2027. So I think this hopefully will help us springboard that I can give Mr. Colazzo a few more bullet points to add on for the next couple of years for affordable housing after we complete this project.
Any questions for Mr. Calvert?
I have one.
Mr. Kildee?
Bradley, how long do you think it'll take for the construction once we get going on that?
Our original estimate is around 14 months. We think this is probably going to be closer to 12, though.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Very good. Next, moving on to buildings and grounds, and then follow with information technology. Administrative Services Director Mitchell Cameron is going to cover these.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. Tonight, I'm going to highlight 3 of our major facilities projects, including the capital improvement plan. The first one being our corporation yard. This project remains on schedule for completion in the 4th quarter of 2026. It will provide a modern, functional workplace for our field staff while improving accessibility, energy efficiency, and building systems. As part of this project, we'll also be enhancing physical security for the city's technology infrastructure located at the corporation yard, helping protect the systems that support critical city operations. The next project is our City Hall renovation. This project is an investment in creating a more welcoming, accessible, and functional City Hall for both residents and the employees. Along with improving the customer service experience, we'll be modernizing key building systems, including HVAC, lighting, electrical, plumbing, and security infrastructure, again, to support city operations well into the future. Over the next few months, we'll be releasing a request for proposals for construction drawings to begin the next phase of this project. We also will be bidding the courtyard wall removal project, which serves as the early phase of their overall City Hall modernization project. Finally, we've completed the installation of the new standby generator at City Hall with the corporation yard generator to follow. Together, these projects will improve the city's resilience by helping ensure critical services can continue during power outages and emergencies. And I'll pause for a second for any questions on buildings and grounds.
Questions? Go ahead.
Just one question. For the Corp Yard, do we have a set location as a lactation room?
Thank you for the question, Vice Mayor. Yes, we do have a set location for a lactation room located in the locker room. Very excited about the work being done around that, and happy to share pictures and with council as soon as it's complete.
That's great. Thank you.
All right. Next.
Right, information and technology. Our technology investments continue to focus on providing secure, reliable, and efficient services for both our staff and our community. First, our enterprise asset management system. It remains on schedule and on budget. The project will provide a single enterprise platform to manage the city's assets. It will improve our maintenance planning and support more informed, data-driven decisions. We're looking forward to providing council with a comprehensive update to this project in August. We're also continuing our data governance initiative, which establishes policy standards and processes for how the city manages its data. The goal is to ensure information is accurate, secure, accessible, and consistently managed across departments so staff can make better decisions, improve collaboration, and provide more efficient services to our community. As the city continues to adopt new technologies, including AI and enterprise systems, having a strong data governance framework will become even more important. Finally, as part of the Corporation Yard project, we're making significant investments in the physical security of the city's technology infrastructure. One example is that just providing security and access control for security in our network equipment, our servers, and all the systems that they support. This obviously improve our resiliency and overall operations. Together, all these projects strengthen the foundation that supports the city's services. Every day, both the technology of our staff relies on and the infrastructure that keeps our system secure and operating reliably. I'll pause for any questions related to IT projects.
Seeing none, continue.
All right, thank you, Mayor. And with that, I'm going to pass the conversation back to Mr. Klotzel to talk a little bit more about projects in construction.
Great, thank you. Yes, one of the parts that I really is just very proud of. Working here for the city, Camarillo has always been focused on getting projects done. And we always have had a very extensive, aggressive, full plate of capital projects going on in the city of Camarillo. And getting those done is only possible because of City Council's guidance, direction, priorities, support on moving those forward. So it is definitely a joint effort along with the many staff involved across all departments to get these projects done. So I'm happy to just have this list here of projects that are under construction right now, and won't go through and mention all of them or details, but we've got a lot going on, and some just starting out and some being wrapped up. But we've got a lot of good CIP projects getting done and under construction. And recently, 5 here listed that have recently completed and all in the closeout process. So the life of a capital project, as council is aware, typically goes many years. And with everything from the initial planning and budgeting and design and construction, and then even the closeout process can take some time. So I just wanted to highlight and give this list here of the accomplishments of the effectiveness of this capital improvement plan on actually getting projects done. And then just to show some of the timeline that goes into this process of, it's an annual update to this 5-year document, actually over six years. And starting back in September of last year was when our initial, what we call for new projects, and update and kicking off the update process. Looking at what projects need to be updated, information to be updated, and that rolls on for several months. The 2 strategic planning and council goals and objectives meetings, if you recall, a smattering of CIP projects are in there, a part of achieving those goals and objectives. So as that occurs, the prioritization of projects is evaluated and further informs and develops that current update of the CIP. And then on June 3rd, we distributed that to City Council ahead of the June 10th budget workshop. And as mentioned, the year 1 of the CIP is the upcoming fiscal year. That is a part of the budget that Council just adopted. So that's a critical element of the budget consideration is our CIP. And then government code requirement that a capital improvement plan be found in conformity with the city's general plan. So there's a process to go through with that goes to the Planning Commission, and then action tonight also was included on council confirming that conformity with the general plan, which our plan does. Takes us to today for the adoption of the current updated 5-year CIP, and that is the recommendation before council tonight. And I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Any questions for Mr. Klotzel or any of the other directors? Go ahead, Mr. Kildee.
Yeah, Dave and everyone, thanks for the updates on this. I have a couple of questions. So first of all, we've got, I think, some 87 projects for the next 5 years. And the history of Camarillo, we've always had a very aggressive capital improvement process here ever since I've been up here. The process, though, is that it seems to me this year we've tried to rank these as like super important and maybe can wait a little bit. It seems like we tried to really rank some of these to a certain extent. It's my first question, that. And my second question is kind of has to do with if the funding isn't there, that we can always roll those projects out until a future year. So we always look at, whether or not we have the revenue to start the project. And it's not just starting the project, it's completing the project too. So that's my couple of questions there. Is that pretty much what happened this year? But it seems the process was a little bit different as far as the ranking of importance on this.
Right, yeah, and actually we implemented it last year with a real focused prioritization process, essentially, incorporated into our annual update of the CIP, looking at various factors of a project, whether it's safety or, remaining useful life in a project, funding, is grant funding available? So yes, that has been more recent. Again, last year we did implement that, and again this year with the prioritization process for projects. And that's really helped focus in on, the projects that are going to most successfully move forward for completion, and given the the need, the necessity for those projects, and then absolutely
we can move some of these projects right into future years if, like grant funding, we had a little conversation about that, and other side of funding is somewhat delayed. Is that correct?
Possibly, correct. Yep, that can be a factor. I was going to touch on that also on the funding available, and some adjustments we did make this year based on the water fund and how much is available to spend on capital projects. We've had to adjust that somewhat to program some of those projects more in the future. And more discussion to come on that, as was mentioned in the general fund commitment for a loan to the water fund, that we will analyze that as we go forward on when does it make sense to effectuate a part of that loan to move a critical high priority project forward. So those would all be conversations that we need to have internally and then bring to council for that. So it's definitely a planning document, and not set in stone for 5 years, because there's so many components that can change over time, that can affect the progression of a project. And that's the importance, again, testament to Camarillo's approach to updating this every year to make sure we have as viable of a plan as possible to get projects done.
Okay. I don't have any questions, but I have a comment when it's appropriate.
Any questions? Hearing none. I have a question here. I'm not sure I understand it, but I'm going to ask it. Are there any council communication disclosures? Seeing none, we will open the public hearing. Madam Clerk, any public comments?
No comments.
We will close the public comment portion of the hearing. And now, Mr. Kildee, you wanted to make a comment.
I want to make a comment. I want to thank staff and whoever else was responsible for the completion of Distar Park. And I say that because I've spent a lot of my time up here over the years on Distar Park. And I have this saying, it's kind of like sausage. It's a little messy kind of making it, but the end result hopefully tastes pretty good. And I got to say, I've had more positive comments on Distar Park than practically, and I say that rather somewhat loosely, practically any other project in the city. So it's a real asset to our city here, and I want to thank staff for helping and the council for supporting us as we went through this process here. And I think it's one of the nicest parks that we have in the city, if not the nicest. It's going to be really, really well used, and I'm just thrilled to death that it's open and it's so well used. So that's my comment.
Any other council members? Go ahead.
Ditto to to what Councilmember Kildee said, but in addition to that, just thank you to staff, to our city manager, assistant city manager, and all our public works staff, every staff member whose long hours went into putting this together. I know that when I came in as council members, one of the questions that I had was how are we prioritizing? And so immediately you took it upon yourself to develop, to look into a formula and to come out again with a very objective method of doing so. And so I can tell we're definitely the busy city, and I'm very excited and I'm very, very proud of each and every one of you for making this city a better place to live and investing in it in this way. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the suggested action.
And I can second, but Rachel, do we need two separate motions for sanitary and city, or can it just
You
be one?
both sit as both entities, so you can make the motion for both.
Okay, so I can second that.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Santangelo,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo,
Yes.
Councilmember Kildee,
Yes.
Councilmember Tremblay, Mayor Tennyson.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
With that, we will go to the city attorney for a closed session report.
Hi, yes, thank you. We did conduct closed session this evening, but there was no reportable action.
Thank you very much. This city council combined meeting is adjourned.